Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the channel. Today, some more carbon fiber goodness. I have the center console side panels in carbon fiber. These are from TruFiber, and these are actual full carbon fiber replacement parts. These aren't overlays. These actually will replace the plastic side panels of the center console with these full carbon fiber pieces here. And you can see here, there's three pieces. One side of the console is a split piece section. I believe it's the driver's side. I'll have to double check. And so it'll kind of, sit here as two pieces like this. And I believe this will be the back portion, at the back portion of the seat. And then this will be up near the vents. And then this will be the passenger side over here. And it's a single piece. As you can see here, it has all the clips and everything. So this is a solid replacement part, not an overlay, which is pretty cool. Now it's more of a pain to install, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to get the side panels off. So I'll have to figure that out. Nothing really on removing them. Hopefully I don't have to remove the whole console. I guess we will discover that together while I'm doing this video. And then for a quick comparison, here is a next gen speed carbon fiber, real carbon fiber overlay to show you the difference. See, this is attached like, many of my parts in the car interior are overlays, and it's attached with this 3M tape over the OEM component or part. So this is actually going to be a feature video, and it is an overlay for the HVAC controls. Very cool. And then you can see here, solid, no 3M on the back, clips. So this will actually snap into place to replace the plastic pieces. So we take a look real quick, show you what we're talking about here. And here is the plastic parts that will be getting fully replaced. And you can see here the driver's side, how it does have a seam here, and it is broken into two parts. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to, I believe, push the seat forward to get access to the rear here. And then if you can kind of see right there, that little, there's a little circular piece. Can't really see it until I move the seat up. But there's a circular piece down kind of in line with the seat, right around down there somewhere, that has a cover. I'll have to pop that cover off. It'll give me access. Hopefully maybe to get my finger in there. It's actually an access to the bolt if I want to remove the whole console, which I'm hoping I do not have to do. And then I'm going to try to pry these side panels off and see if I can get them to snap off easily without breaking anything. That's the key here. I have removed the knee bolster, which is just two clips, pretty much pops straight up out of the two little clips here. And I tried to get my pry tool in a number of different locations, and this thing doesn't move at all. So it looks like we are going to need to pull the entire center console. So for that, not too bad. You have a 10 millimeter here, 10 millimeter here. It's underneath the knee bolster, same on the other side. And then you can kind of see right here is almost like a little plug, kind of like a grayish, worn looking plug here. This will pop off. Use some kind of pry tool or something. Don't use a screwdriver so you don't mar it up. And then there's gonna be another 10 millimeter here. And same on the other side. I guess it's easy to get to this one, moving the seat all the way forward. And then remove all those bolts. And then we will pull the console. I have the front seat slid forward all the way, also tilted forward. I have the two 10 millimeter bolts right there already removed from behind the knee bolster. As you can see here, you have a plug that covers the other 10 millimeter bolt, and you need to get something in there to pry it up without damaging anything. Now it is kind of captured, so it probably will not fall out. And I don't know if you can see it, but there is another 10 millimeter bolt back in there. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that I'm gonna repeat the steps exactly the same on the other side, and then we will take a look at getting this console up and out of here. Okay, I have the bezel removed and the shift knob removed. Now, there's two ways to do this. One is you can actually unclip the boot, pull the boot up, and gain access to this plastic sleeve here, and then you're gonna see those two little clips. You wanna wedge those outward, and then you wanna lower the plastic sleeve downwards, pulling the boot down and exposing more of this shift stick here. Once you do that, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna grab the shift knob, and you're just gonna yank it up, straight up, and it should come loose. I did see instructions that are talking about pulling this chrome collar downward, and then you could access to like a spring U-clip, and you pull that out and then this comes out. I couldn't get this collar down. I posted to the Facebook group, the Camaro Facebook group, and they just linked me to a Lethal video where he just yanked this out. Now, I took the whole bezel out because I have this carbon fiber in place, and I didn't want to wedge anything between the carbon fiber and the boot to pop this boot loose. Figured I may, ding it up or damage it. So actually, if you see here, I kind of wedged up the end just a little bit and was able to get a wide trim tool, pop this up, and I was able to pull the whole bezel. Once you do pull the bezel, it's going to be attached to that plug right here. Make sure you unplug that very simple plug from right here, and then that lets you pull the entire bezel out. So the bezel and the boot removed, we can go ahead and get this center console out. Now, I believe I read it is friction fit. Once you remove your 2 bolts here, 2 bolts here, the 1 bolt here, 1 bolt here, then this should be able to friction lift upward and out. There are a number of plugs in place, so you can't just yank this straight out without bringing it up far enough, without extending the cable too far. Unhook the various plugs, and then you can lift the console out. I'm gonna do that now. I'll swing back here to the video, and then I'll talk about exactly how many plugs. I'll show you what I had to disconnect and if I ran into any issues. I'm going to slide my chairs all the way back on both sides as I get some more access, and I can kind of hopefully lift the console upwards and then out the door. The center console has been removed, and yes, it was friction fit. I was able to grab the back, pop it up a little bit, scoot it back just a little bit to clear up here, and then I was able to lift it up and lean it on my shoulder, and then I was able to unplug the 3 connectors right here. This one was kind of tricky. It's got one of those little red sliding locking clips that had a clip out, and then it had like 2 different like reverse side clips here that you had to hold in and hold this one in, and then I was able to get the clip out. These 2 were just kind of some standard clips, super easy to pop out. So yeah, pretty straightforward down here, nothing too crazy. Good opportunity. If you drop anything, you can go ahead and do a search and rescue recovery here and retrieve it. Just be careful when you pull it out. Pull out game, make sure it's strong, and then you can kind of just circle it around and then take it out the door. The console is not heavy. It's not one of those real huge consoles. Much easier to actually remove this console than my Ford Explorer. And then this is the console. Forward, of course. Rear, as you can see, I have all the other carbon fiber bits in here. Hopefully nothing has been dinged up, but I think everything looks like it came out safely. A little bit of dirt and stuff. I'll be cleaning all this up. And yeah, I actually was dropping a little bit of change on myself while I was doing this. And then of course here is the phone charger, Delios module down here, if you need to replace that. And here are the side panels. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this stuff pulled out of here, tilt this thing up, and we're gonna take a look at what I need to do to get these damn side panels out. Console has been flipped, and you do have a Phillips head screw here on both sides. These screws need to be removed to remove the panel. So it looks like, unless you can somehow get under there without removing the whole console, you do need to remove the console to do this. Here is the TruFiber piece. As you can see here, here's it lining up. And then you can see that is where the Phillips head will go. There is a kind of like a little clip piece that looks like it'll snap in place, that then will be, the screw will actually go in and then go into the clip piece, which will attach right here. And then of course the clips will go here and here. And not sure what's under here yet. Let's see. Oh, it looks like, yep, 2 more screws. Same type of deal. I'm not sure how I'm even gonna get to that one. I'm gonna have to find something that can get those screws. So there'll be screws going into these 2 points here as well. As you can see, the backs of them right here. So I'm gonna try to decipher this and see if I can get this panel off. Once we have the 2 screws removed, there is 2 clips, and you can actually pull and yank this back section right off. 1 plug here for the charger. It's got one of those little pull clips. You pull it down, remove it, and you can remove the entire unit. Go ahead and place that over here with my carbon fiber. And now you have access to reach these 2 sets of screws on both sides. Remove those, and then you detach the screw portion from the side panels. So I'll go ahead and get those removed. It's the next day, and finally got a chance to mess around with this side panel here. And it's a pain to get off. Definitely not gonna be able to do this on the car. I mean, with this console in the car, it'll be, I don't even know if it would be possible. It'd probably be a nightmare. And so definitely take the console out. And you have a ton of these clips here. I already have this panel removed. I don't have that one done yet. But what I did is I got a pair of pliers here. And then for the ones you could access, which would be these ones kind of in the center, I was able to get the pliers and kind of just squeeze the little clip here to squeeze inward so it would loosen up, and I could then pull it up just enough so it comes unclipped. And I was able to work on this one, this one, this one. And this one I couldn't really get the pliers on because it's kind of encapsulated in this little compartment here. So at that point, I just kind of wedged my hand in here and then just forced out. I mean, they do snap out. They're just really, really hard. Snap this out. There's 2 sets. If you can see here, clip and a clip, clip and a clip. I got the top ones off. I kind of pulling down, and then I was able to snap the bottom ones out. And then I was able to, this one won't come straight out unless you get it worked out like this, because there is a little, see that little hook? Then you can work this one out with some pliers, and then you're able to pull it out. And if you look at the bottom here, excuse me, I kind of line it up with the carbon fiber piece over here, if you can see. And so as you notice, this has clips and captured pieces here. So you're going to need to pull the clips from the OEM panel and then supplant them over to the carbon fiber piece. And it looks like you can just get, you know, flathead or something on here, and then pop these up, and just make sure you bring over everything over here. And then you can see here, this capture piece here will come out as well. And then you're gonna push it through this little square here. I'm gonna go ahead and move all these clips over. I'm not gonna install the TruFiber panel piece until I get the second panel off, all those clips transferred over, and then I will or install the carbon fiber panels onto the console. Make sure you do have nice microfiber cloths down here, especially when you put the carbon fiber ones on there, because you do not want to lay that on a hard surface and then of course scratch the crap out of it. So yes, I'm going to go ahead and get these clips moved over. We'll take a look how it looks once they're applied to the panel, and then we'll get the second panel off. Got most of these clips off on this side. There may be a special tool, and also another option is you probably can just buy new ones. I forgot to do that, so I'm trying to remove them. And the best trick I could get these off with was just a couple little flatheads, and then you just insert them in the little gap there, and then you kind of just do a crossover like that. And sometimes they come up easier than others because they have these teeth that stick down into it. And if you can just get the teeth off of the plastic, you can get this off. Half of these came off super easy like this, and then half I pretty much had to do a little bit more work with. Sometimes the teeth is stuck. And if you can wedge another tool in there to maybe get them off the plastic, that can help out. And there we go. Just make sure you haven't deformed it. It looks pretty good shape. Make sure the teeth, you know, aren't bent or broken. So then when you put it on the new plastic piece on your new console, they'll bite in and then they just won't, you know, pop off with the thing real easily. So just wanted to point that out real quick. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get this screw piece here off, and then we're going to go ahead and attach these to the other panel. I have moved the clips over to the carbon fiber piece. Notice the microfiber towels laying down here so we don't scuff it all up. And just make sure all the clips, you know, don't just fall right off. So that the teeth on the clip bite into the little nubs. And then I did move over the piece here that the screw will attach to here. It's not super flush, so I'm not sure if that's cool or not. I can't remember how it was on the old one. So pretty much we're done prepping this panel. I'm gonna move it out of the way, and we're gonna go over and work on the second split panel. It's a 2-panel piece. Looks like you remove, I believe the front forward part of the panel first, then you'll swing around and remove the back piece because it is got some screws, it looks like, behind the frontmost panel. I have rotated the console around, as you can see here. So we have the passenger side now facing me. And I got this panel mostly removed. This one is a lot easier because it's separated. And as you can see here, this is the skinnier portion that you have to remove first. And what I did was kind of demonstrate here. Just took these pliers, kind of squeezed this right here, notice enough so I could clear that bump. Made sure I held it in place. You can wedge an interior tool or something in there so it doesn't snap back in. Did the same with this one. And this one you have to wait for last just because the way that has that same little hook on it. And then this one is down in there. So actually I just took a metal interior trim tool like this, kind of wedged it in there, and just gave a little pop, and it popped out, and then it took out the whole panel down to the end piece. And then I'm going to go ahead and unclip this, and then you have to kind of just swing it out and make sure you clear that hook. So I'm gonna get this piece off. Once you do that, you have 2 Phillips head screws right here, which help hold this piece of the panel in. And then it looks like I've already removed the screw back here. So I will go ahead and get this popped off, pull this panel off, and then I'll remove these 2 screws and then begin work on this stubby panel. I have the fatter part of the console removed. This one was kind of a pain because it's got these 2 real low clips. It's hard to access. So if you see here, it panel sits something like this, or yeah, right here. It'll sit like here. Clips will be in there. And what I actually did was I took the breaker bar, the handle was able to fit in there, and I was able to get it in there, and then I was able to give it a quick motion, and I was able to pop the end clips off. With those off, I was able to then use this pliers and the interior trim tool, pop this off, and then get it to here, and then I was able to work down with a larger flathead and kind of pop this clip here out of place, and then it just drops loose. So not too bad. I'm gonna go ahead and now pull all these clips over to the carbon fiber piece. And another thing I want to point out is if you want to keep these, it has its own little clip. You squeeze this little thing here and you can then feed it through the little slot here, and then you can move it over, I believe, to the carbon fiber piece. Yeah, see, it has little slots. So it'll look kind of dumb. I wish they would have given you a carbon fiber one of these. That would have been a nice addition. Instead, we're gonna have a kind of an ugly plastic one, but it's kind of, you know, it's hidden behind the bolsters of the seat, so it's not a big deal. But just keep that in mind. If you do want to keep these covered with that little plug, make sure you move the plugs over for both sides. So, I'm gonna go ahead and remove all these clips, and then we're gonna get them transported over. All of the clips have been removed. Use the same method as I had used before, but I would suggest if you can find these clips relatively cheap to just buy replacement clips, and then if you ever do need to go back to the OEM ones, you can just snap it on there and don't worry about trying to yank these off and damaging or anything like that. But anyways, and here is a quick comparison between the two items side by side. I will be removing and moving these plugs over, and you can see, of course, the way these posts are done are a little bit different. Just make sure they are in the right spots. Nothing was, you know, no defects or anything like that, but it looks good to me. And I'm gonna go ahead and move all these clips over to here, including this weird screw post, just like the other side, goes right through here. And pretty much it'll just, you know, snap through here. So, another thing to note is, when you're trying to take the old ones off, I found that was helpful is to take the aftermarket one here, the TruFiber piece, and kind of just looking behind it to give you a good idea of how these clips are laid out while you're trying to, you know, blindly remove this, because some of these clips are hidden. That definitely was helpful. So if you do get kind of stuck, or if one of these console pieces is not coming off, just make sure you look at the other piece and just kind of give you a general idea of what you're working with that may be, you know, hidden out of view. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these clips transferred over, get these OEM pieces out of the way, and I'll get the console back up here, and then we'll look at getting these nice carbon fiber ones installed on the console, which is sitting on our fake Christmas tree. I have the driver side back first piece that should be installed back here. Here's the OEM one just for comparison. The thing I did notice on these is the OEM one has this channel here, which I guess then will fit into this piece right here, this little seam. The TruFiber one has not really a full channel, but has these little lip pieces. But the question is, how do I get that to slot over, yet still get these clipped in? These clips these are not flexible pieces. So I'm not sure the best technique to get these just lock in and snap in, but still get it over the lip here. So I'm gonna have to kind of play with that and see how I can get that, unless this is malleable. I'm not sure, not really. I might have to then pry this underneath the lip of these clips here without breaking them. Not sure how durable they are. So I'm gonna mess with this. I'll see if I can get this piece on. You can tell that I do have this little plug in place. I really wish they gave me a carbon fiber one, because this is pretty ugly. You got this nice wall of carbon fiber and then plastic plug. I did hit it with some detail spray, so it doesn't look quite as bad. So let's see if I can figure this out. I have split the upper and lower portions of the center console in half. And let me tell you, it was kind of a pain, and I kind of had to just discover it as I was going. And so yeah, you're gonna have to do this to get these carbon fiber parts on. We were able to get the OEM ones on because it's like a plastic and it's got some kind of flex to it, and I was able to, you know, to get these off without damaging anything. The carbon fiber is not flexible like the OEM plastic. So the first thing I would suggest doing, here is the console. It is upside down. Only way you can work on it is go ahead and unplug all of the cables. There's a bunch. It looks like there's 3 there, 3 more here. You know, there's cables, I guess, for some of the lighting stuff and the USB charger stuff. So unplug all these cables, Then you got another 2 cables up here. Plug into these. These are, it looks like the, you know, the drive modes and whatnot. There's another cable on this, whatever this is. I don't know what this is. Cigarette lighter, I guess. Yeah, cigarette lighter. And then you got 2 cables up here. I'll plug all of those. This is gonna enable you to, and actually you wanna unplug this one right here, which I don't even remember where this went, and I'll have to rediscover where all these plugs are when I put everything back together. Get all the cables unplugged. And then the next step you're gonna wanna do is remove the small little screws. There's a number of these holding these 2 pieces together on top of multiple sets of clips. You got 2 clips here. You have 2 clips here hidden. You have 2 clips here. One's hidden. You have 2 clips here and here. And I believe that's all the clips. So something like 8 clips. 8 sets of the clips. Same kind of clips that the side panels are held on with. But you're able to just kind of heave those out. Now, the screws I spoke about, there's 1 screw that's gonna be here that you don't have to unscrew, and there's 1 screw here. Make sure you unscrew both of those. You also have 2 sets of screws at the end here, and there's 1 here. And then 2 sets of screws on the side, right, I believe it's here, and then that same spot on the other side. Make sure you remove both those screws. I don't think there's any more screws. Yeah, I believe that's all the screws. So I believe it's 6 screws. So I'm looking at all the hardware I have over here. So it looks like 6 screws. Now, on top of that, to even get to some of these screws and some of this stuff here, you actually have, now that I think about it, there are 2 more screws. They're bigger screws. So this is where the console lid attaches. There's a screw here and a screw here. To get to these, you have to remove the console lid itself. And you do that, the console lid is held on with this, you know, this pivot shaft here. And this is actually just held on by a single U-clip. So it actually passes through this thing here on both sides. Just go ahead and pull the U-clip out. You'll pull the shaft out, and then the whole console lid will lift right off. You can see it over here. That will then let you get to these 2 screws down here that you need to detach. So you get those 2 screws, and they are the larger screws like this, not the smaller Allen screws. These are actually Phillips head screws. So then once you get those screws, then you get your other 6 screws, all your cables. I don't think there's any more. You have to look back at the footage. But once you get all that in, what I did is I actually pried from the back here. There's almost a good kind of area you can get your hand right here. And you just have to freaking unclip it. You have to kind of heave it. It'll unclip, unclip, unclip. You may need to help grab stuff with a screwdriver while you're kind of prying it up. And if you do it just right, it should lift up into 2 pieces just like this. So I'll go ahead and set that up here over there. This is the, actually looks like the bottom because the way it sits, but you can see here, this is the underside of the top part of your center console. Now, we're actually going to move the top portion up and out of the way. Be careful, it does have some of this fiber optics for your lighting, your spectrum lighting, if you do have 2SS or the ZL1 like I have here. Make sure you have a nice clean area, and then you can go ahead and bring the bottom section upside down of your console. So we have the bottom section of the console. Make sure your stuff's kind of you know, out of the way. You're not smashing anything. Be super careful with this. You don't want to break any, you know, plugs, connectors, or anything like that. And there are a ton of them. So get this situated, and now we can go ahead and start working on getting our carbon fiber pieces over. So as you can see here, here is the driver's side, still facing me, as you can see here. And this driver's side can now, look here, the clips line up, and you can snap this piece in place without worry of these bottom, you know, like little channel here. So if you look here, that's a channel. Before, without splitting this in half, there was no way to get this tucked under the other part of the console. And I didn't want to risk breaking or trying to bend it or anything crazy. That's why we had to split this console in half. Now I can snap these pieces in place. As you have all the clips already done earlier, we can go ahead and just snap them. Make sure you do the right side correctly. So driver's side, if it's oriented like this, will be facing you, and the driver's side is the split panel. I'm not sure the whole reasoning behind why they did split panel on one side and not on the other, but you know, this is how we have it. So you're gonna snap this in place, and as you can see, once it's snapped in place, you're gonna have these two screws. These are two screws that you're gonna then attach these two screws, and then you will attach the other longer piece. I'm gonna go ahead and get this attached. I'll show you what it looks like. Get this other one attached, and then we'll flip it around and we'll do the passenger side. I have the first section of the driver's side panel in place. 2 sets of Phillips back here, 2 sets here. And then of course, if you can see here, you have your clip, clip, clip. And there's another clip, I believe, down below this one. And just make sure everything is nice and tight. But with the screws here, it's definitely very secure. Now, what we're gonna do is take this other piece here, and this one is going to, if you see here, it has a clip here and then a post, and then the post will sit inside that little notch there, and then this will lock into place. Now, be careful of this little arm here. I believe you're gonna have to come around and kind of work it. I'll have to mess around with that, but just make sure you take note of that. Don't smash it or break it. But from removing it, I had to do some kind of like swing action here. So I'll go ahead and I'll mess around with this and see if I can get this locked into place. I have the longer driver's side piece attached, and it is 5 clips. And nope, because we have it split, I didn't have to worry about this little piece here I was worried about. I guess that doesn't play into effect until I re-sandwich everything together, maybe. So it didn't cause me any issues, it just clipped straight in. I did tweak this piece a little bit. I loosened up the screws and kind of pulled it as far as I could. I could only adjust a little bit. There is a little seam here, but really, it's not bad. It looks more than what it will be once it's the console's back in the car. And this is all, you know, dark here. It was a little bit more until I loosened up the 4 Phillips heads on this piece and kind of just tilted it as much as I could. I held it down and retightened it, and it kind of tightened this up pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna roll this around like that. And we are gonna go ahead and attach this larger piece over here. This one will be interesting since it is such a big piece. And yeah, I'm gonna get this attached and then we will take a look. I now have the passenger side piece attached. It was kind of a weird fit back here. This clip doesn't really fully seat, it feels like. I don't know, maybe it's because I reused a clip, but you have these Allen screws that I just torqued down a little bit. Not, of course, not too hard so you don't split the resin, but I mean, it's not moving. It's pretty good. And we go ahead and, you know, I'll pick it up here, take a quick look. This is how it looks once it's back in the car. And as you can see here, it is all in place. So now we get to rejoin it to its upper half. Make sure all this stuff seats properly on that lip there. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and work on that, and then I will report back if I have any more exciting issues. I have the cables plugged in, pieces all screwed down, everything is back sandwiched together, top and bottom pieces. Kind of a pain, you have to really just kind of eyeball it and work it down. A good trick is you look down here if you see any like excessive gaps other than these little ones you can see here. Like if you have big gaps, it means you've got some gaps here. So if you can see here, it looks nice and clean. Of course, you got a little bit of my overlay coming up here. I'm gonna heat these up and while the console's out and try to get these back down in place. You can't see it from the top or side, really only from this angle, but we're looking at this. See, there's no excessive gaps between the carbon fiber and then the plastic pieces all the way around. Of course, same on the other side. And that's the big thing. You want to make sure there is no big open gaps and everything should be nice and smooth. And once again, don't forget your sets of screws. You have one here, one here. Then you have, these are the Allen key ones here, and same on the other side. And you have one inside of, I guess, the cup holder, wherever this is right here. And then you have one right here. And then you have one, what was that, 2, 4, yeah, that's the 6. So you got the 6 screws. These are the last ones. And then make sure you don't miss any of your plugs, because you don't want to, get this thing going. Now you are going to have a number of plugs unconnected, because these will actually be plugged back into your car. Like that, and this one will actually go to the shift bezel. These, I believe, go to the center portion of the vehicle. And then I think this goes to the back section of the console, which has your charger if you have that. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna flip this and I'll show you how to get the center console reattached. Here is my custom stitch center console lid here. You can see this is the micro suede Alcantara with the red stitching to match the seats and everything. No logos or anything on it. I actually had somebody make this for me, and I do have a video on that. You can check out the link up here. And yeah, it's got a little extra foam in it, so it's a little bit beefier than the normal console. It's super comfortable, and I think it just flows a lot better with the car versus the kind of a leather, ugly looking OEM console lid. And also didn't like the options they had where you'd have to have some kind of stitch symbol or anything on here. So I like this clean look here. Now to get this reattached, you can see here, console is now up facing. Driver's side is near me. And you pretty much have to slot the lid into place, and you want to line up, see here, you want to line up this hole here. And what you're going to do is you're going to feed this rod through here. If I can do this with one hand and one hand holding. Okay, there we go. And there. As you see here, it pops out the other end, and that is where this U-clip is just going to hold this in place. You kind of want it centered. Make sure nothing looks too crazy. And then you're going to go ahead and pop that on. Console lid is in place. You can see here the rod is situated, and then you have the lid. This is some more carbon fiber accent pieces that I did, and you can see here it looks pretty nice. It is all real carbon fiber, but it is the gel flexible stuff, not the hard carbon fiber. Now, one thing about that piece is it's a little bit harder to latch your lid. You have to kind of slam it down a little bit, but it latches in most cases, so not a big deal. Just make sure this is all centered, so you might have to mess with it and align it, but it looks pretty good. And then what we're gonna do is get this rear portion attached. And nothing super crazy with this. As you can see here, it does have some screws here, 2 screws, 2 clips, and then it's got these 2 buckle looking clips up here. But 2 of the clips we've been dealing with, that'll be on the lower part, buckles will be on the top part. Kind of just snap it into place, and then you get the 2 screws and you screw those in from the underside pretty much. So we'll have to flip it back upside down to get those screws in. The rear charger, or I guess this would be a cubby or whatever if you don't have the ZL1 or the 2SS pieces in place. So if you do have the almost useless phone charger thing in the back, make sure you plug it in. So that's this plug right here. Make sure you lock the locking tab in place, otherwise it might fall back out. If you have any other locking tabs, I cannot recall if there are any other ones that have the lock tabs or not. So just make sure you comb over all of your plugs. Make sure if you have any locking tabs or anything, make sure those are locked in place. And don't forget, there are 2 screws that hold this piece in place, right here and right here. It's a little bit of a seam here, but there's carbon fiber behind it, so not really a big deal. I'm not sure if there's a seam here, OEM or not. It was very tight fit to get this on here, so hopefully it's good to go. I guess we'll find out when I put it in the car. Do you see the buckles here? Pretty far down. I'm not sure if that's okay or not, but yeah, I guess we'll find out. So I'm gonna get this thing flipped around. We'll take a look with it right side up, and then we'll wrap up getting this prepped to go back in the car. Here we are. The console is mostly complete. Side panels are all on. Everything's back together. Hopefully nothing falls apart while I'm reinstalling the console in the car. But take this opportunity, if you have everything out, just to give everything a good wipe down. If you have any debris or anything in your cup holders, good time to get all this cleaned out. Same thing for inside your console. And yeah, so I did everything, just a quick wipe down. I hit some of the carbon fiber with some carbon fiber 3D spray I got off of Dyna Detailing. Stuff smells pretty good. Seems like it works. It gives it a nice little shine. Kind of makes that 3D look. Kind of helps with the depth, it feels like, when I wipe it down. And pretty much you just spray it on, wipe it off, then give it a quick buff with a microfiber. So maybe I'll do a video on this, maybe compare and contrast on some of my leftover broken pieces of carbon fiber and see how well this stuff actually works. Yeah, I bought like a 3-pack of this stuff and I've used it a few times, so far, seems like it's not too bad. As you can see here, everything is ready to go. Make sure you put all the little doohickeys and stuff back. Like this goes down there, but this looks pretty dirty, so I'm gonna wash this. And make sure you clean underneath where the console sits. And then hopefully I'll be able to lift this up, and it's a friction fit, so you wanna just kind of drop it in, kind of almost at an angle with the back seat like this, and then kind of slide it downwards and then down like that. So kind of a visual representation. You wanna bring it in, keep it leaned up at first so you can replug all your stuff in here. And then you can friction it back in place, make sure everything locks in. You're gonna then reattach these little bolts that are gonna go through these plugs right here. Another thing to point out again, I really wish TruFiber offered me a cool carbon fiber plug here. They should have given us that for the, you think for the price of these things, you get some carbon fiber plugs, but that's just nitpicking. Make sure you get everything plugged back in. Once you get the console in place and you get the bolts, don't forget these 2 bolts up here, locked into place, then you're going to want to get the shift trim piece in place. Make sure you reattach your shift knob. And if you are able to, make sure when you take the shift knob off, you do it without hulking it off like I did. I just couldn't get that chrome ring off. So, it is what it is. But it should snap back into place without having to worry about the trimming. It should just come down, give it a quick pop. It should clip back into place. Make sure you do get the, wherever the ring is, the plastic ring snapped into place, pushed upwards for the lock the boot into place. And then you can put the knob into place and then make sure everything's snapping back down here. It's just a bunch of clips. And then at that point, you can put the knee bolsters back in and you should be good to go. So we're gonna head into the car and we're gonna get this thing wrapped up. This video turned into pretty much Alice going down the rabbit hole. What I thought was gonna be me pulling a couple panels off with some clips and swapping the panels turned out to be quite an adventure. So hopefully my pain and suffering makes your install, if you do these, much easier, much smoother, and you'll know exactly what you need to do. So no discovery needed, as that has been taken care of for you. Back in the cabin of the car here, and I'm going to be getting the newly dressed up center console over here to this back into its original location. And like I mentioned before, you just kind of want to bring it over a little bit back than where it's actually going to end up going. You want to tilt it forward, make sure you don't hit anything, so you can get these plugs. There's 3 plugs you want to reconnect, and then there's also almost like a little clip piece on one of the plugs that's with the console, and you want to snap it back, I believe, to this post here, so it's nice and locked into place. You don't hear a cable wobbling around while you're driving. And then once you have that, you can tilt it back down, and you want to then kind of shift it forward, and so it drops into place. And then you're probably gonna have to pry it downwards a little bit to get it to kind of really, lock back into place. It is, I believe, just friction fit. Once you do that, we can go ahead and get these bolts reattached. There should be 6 total, 2 on the sides here, and then 2 and 2. So there she is. I'm gonna get this thing maneuvered over in here, and I'll see if I have any difficulties with that. As you can see here, the console is still not in, and I'm actually losing parts. Rear seat, I had to take it out. You may not need to do this. I could not get this console to sit down. I don't know if it's because of the charging pad. I just couldn't get it to get underneath the rear seat. I don't know what. I had like a ½ inch that I couldn't get this thing moving. So I didn't want to like really break anything, I guess you could say. So I just pulled the rear seat out. It's not super hard. These clips are a freaking nightmare though on the bottom part. But a real quick overview on how to take the rear seats out if you want to do it yourself is you're going to pull the little release latch. Of course, the seat's not here right now. At the top, to fold the seat down. The 1LE will be a little bit different. But you'll fold the seat down, and then you can actually just yank driver's side first, I believe they say, passenger side. You'll just lift back by the hinge area, and you can just grab back here, and you'll pop the whole back portion out. Not too bad. Once the back portion's out, the bottom portion remains. And what you can do is you'll lift back here. I believe this is the latch, whatever. And you just want to pop each side up on the back corners, so the back is pretty loose. You're gonna get a pry of some sort. I ended up using a big screwdriver and like an extension for my ratchet. Not a real thick one, but and then you're able to wedge it. Pretty much I wedge the thing on each side of where this clip is. I kind of almost had to pull up the edge, push it through, and then I pushed. Actually, I pulled up so it would kind of lever this way instead of putting the points into the bottom of your seat, which you don't want. So I was able to lift it up, and it popped out on both sides. Total pain in the ass. Yeah, so taking the seats out was, pain, but I could not get the damn console in. So you can see here, here's the seat, and here is the latch that you need to pop out of those clips, one on each side. Just be careful, because this is just foam on the bottom. If you pry it the wrong way, you could put a hole through the bottom of your seat, which that would ruin your day. Okay, so here's the rear part. And this is the latch I was talking about. You pull this to release it and fold it down. So I'm gonna do attempt number 2, getting this damn console into the car. With no rear seat to worry about maneuvering through, I should be able to just drop it straight down and then move it forward. And hopefully lock it in place. So I'm gonna try getting this thing in here, and yeah, if I'm back here in a little bit complaining, then I'm having more issues. Back seats are still out, and the console is sitting in place. As you can see here, way easier with the seats out. So if you have any difficulties, go ahead and just pull your seats out and save yourself some pain and suffering. And it fell right into place. Just gonna make sure you kind of finesse the carbon fiber. It might be a little bit tight, so you just kind of get your finger and just give it a little pull, tap it back in. Make sure your screws are lined up, and go ahead and get the 6 screws back in place. So I'm gonna go ahead and screw this in. Hopefully it locks into place nicely. Make sure you have your cord right here sticking out. You didn't get it lost underneath the console, and you did plug in all 3 cords here underneath the center console. One of them does have a little red clip that you need to lock in once the cable is plugged in. Console is buttoned up. Rear seats are in. I have the rear back folded down so I get a little bit more light in here. And as you see, all that looks like I have left is the shifter trim bezel and the shift knob, which I have in my hand here. So I'm gonna get situated into the car. We're gonna get this thing plugged in, snapped into place, and then hopefully we'll be good to go. All right, here's the bottom of the shifter bezel. You can see the one plug is plugged in. You have the little plastic ring here, and then this should, you notch it at the back. I guess you could say this is the front. And then there's a little tab slots that'll go in right here. And then you gotta work the shifter ring through here. And that should line up like that. And then we go ahead and we can get the shift knob. Make sure you put it in the correct orientation. Don't snap this into place yet, because you want to hammer this in, and then you want to make sure you lock the plastic ring that's underneath here up onto the shift knob, and you want to make sure it's nice and centered. You don't want a crooked knob that could cause problems later on. And so I'm gonna get this snapped in, this piece locked in, and then I'm gonna snap the bezel in. Here we are, the conclusion of this rabbit hole install for the carbon fiber center console side panels. So, how does it look? Well, here you go. You can really see that carbon fiber. Really ties in with everything else in my car. Now, would I do this as a first interior mod? No, not at all, because it is a pain. Rear seats are back in. Here's all the other pieces. Got videos for all of these installs. Be sure to check out the playlist for interior exterior mods for the Z01. But yeah, overall, I think it looks great. I wish they would just make a full center console out of carbon fiber. That'd be cool. Direct swap, drop in the center console, but I'm sure it would be probably a good $1,500 or more. And yeah, most people aren't gonna pay that, and I'm sure the research and development to create something like that is probably more than what they would make probably in profit for designing something like that. Anyway, as a quick summary, there was quite a lot involved. So if you're skipping right here to the summary, I'll give it a real brief, at least brief for me. Console has to come out. Now for me, I would also suggest for the reinstall, pulling the seats out. That would actually make the console removal easier. So uninstall the rear seats, fold down the back, pop out each hinge, pulls out the seat, pop out the bottom rear 2 hinges, and then pry up the front 2 clips. Take the rear seats out. Then to get the center console out, you're gonna want to remove the knee bolster, remove 2 screws on each side, move the seats up, pop the little plug out. You're going to remove the screw on each side of that. And then you're gonna want to pop either pull out the whole shifter bezel like I did, or you can, I believe, just pop the boot out and then get that way. But to get underneath, you have to then unplug the shifter bezel. You're going to remove the shift knob, either hulk it out, which is, I guess, the non-official way, or you can actually pry down that center ring here and pull the U-clip out and remove it that way. And once you do that, you can tilt the rear of the center console up. You'll gain access to multiple plugs, unplug those, lift the console out. Once you have the center console out, you're going to have to split it in half. Check out the various problems I experienced with that. It's got a number of, I believe, T20 screws, tons of clips. So split it in half. Once you have it split in half, it'll probably be easier once split in half to remove the side panels, install the new side panels once you transfer the clips over or get new ones. Snap the carbon fiber panels in place, reattach the two halves of the center console, reinstall the center console, 6 bolts once again, put the rear seats back in, put the shift or bezel back in, shift knob in, start the car up and verify all your buttons still work, because if not, you're gonna have fun uninstalling everything once more. So that is the quick summary. Thanks for sticking by. Sorry this video turned out to be relatively long, but I think I say that for all of my videos at this point. But I really want to hit all the details, and like I said, I kind of went in this blind. It's not a ton of details on everything that you'll need to do this install. So hopefully anybody who runs into this can watch my video, can skip all the pain and suffering that I did, because I have it all laid out. So I have a lot more coming for the interior. Well, not a lot. I have some cool stuff coming to replace maybe these knee bolsters, which I've never been a big fan of because they are like a leather versus Alcantara everywhere else. And I have a couple more carbon fiber pieces, not quite as involved, hopefully. So if you want to check those out, they should be posted maybe a few days after this video finally shows up. And as always, thanks for sticking around. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, let me know what else you'd like to see. And hopefully I'll keep these videos coming out maybe a little bit more frequent, maybe a little less, I guess, long-winded. But yeah, we'll wrap it up, and thanks a lot. Peace.